Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. So there are multiple reports that Australia is heading towards a completely cashless society. While this seemed to be something of a distant future just several months ago, or maybe even a conspiracy theory, it is becoming more and more real. Australian government is telling us that it is the reality that all of us should start preparing for now. Before we continue, I want to remind you to join me on YouTube and Rumble, and remember to enable notifications by ringing that little bell button on the right hand side. So Australia is going cashless. Without any proper warning or official announcements, 4 major Australian banks started to limit cash withdrawals across the country. What's even more shocking is that some bank branches even went completely cash-free. Bank customers are having a difficult time withdrawing more than $500. It is happening. It is the reality. What would you do if you found yourself in this kind of a situation? Leave me a comment below. I would love to hear from you. According to the data from the Reserve Bank of Australia, the Australian government took 1 billion worth of banknotes out of circulation. Cash may soon be difficult to get. The number of notes in circulation officially is declining for the first time since dollars and cents were introduced back in 1966. All of this points to an obvious fact, in my opinion. It might be safe to assume that Australian digital dollar may be ready to be launched soon. We will see. But according to the article that was published by BBC recently, the plan to phase out cash within 3 years begins with eliminating $100 notes in the first year and $50 bills in year 2. Then it is about using education and incentives, especially convincing traditional cash users of better options. But here's what's really entertaining, and I think that entertaining is probably the right word to describe this. One of the selling points made by the authorities is that now that there is less cash, criminals will find it harder to go undetected. So therefore, less cash is for your own benefit. You're now better protected, they tell you. A cashless society will only lead to a more honest tax environment, and the biggest losers will be those who rely on cash deals, especially criminals. The Reserve Bank of Australia is now reporting that approximately 1/3 of the population uses cash for less than 20% of their transactions. But not even 4 years ago, back in 2019, almost half of the population considered themselves to be low cash users. Australia's central bank says that it does expect cash transactions to continue their decline in the coming years, and of course they are doing everything possible to make that happen. Reuters recently published an article related to many other countries around the world considering going cashless. For example, Austria is one of them. Reuters called the idea of enshrining cash in the country's constitution, and this is a direct quote, a far-right idea. Word for word, a far-right idea. Did you know that if you prefer to have cash in your wallet, that type of behavior is actually far-right? But according to Reuters, a conservative leader in Austria is calling for the country's constitution to spell out that every single citizen in the country does have the right to use cash. Reuters then says it's, quote, an idea the far-right Freedom Party of Austria had been pushing for years. So in this specific case, which is not uncommon, as all of you know, the media is one of the 2 parties that oppose such initiative. They don't want that to be enshrined in Constitution. Austria's Freedom Party, that is advocating for anti-immigration policies, it has a clear lead over its opposition. Of course, we will not be going into the anti-immigration policies and what's going on in Europe related to that, but having the right to transact in cash as